listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
Guys, you know how I was like so excited to be like outdoor pool season, and I'm still excited. Okay, like I'm not. That hasn't been tempered by what I'm about to share. But at one of my outdoor pool times, I was getting out of the pool, walking back to my stuff to like get dressed and leave because it was the end of the pool session, and I want to be clear, I was walking at a normal pace in my bare feet because I was just out of the pool. Ta-da-la-la, walk, slip, bail so hard on the concrete. Took out my toes and my knee. I did land on the other knee as well, but that one wasn't as bad.
So you fell forward?
Yep.
I can already feel the burn.
I didn't get my hands though. Like somehow I managed to just. I want to credit my physio and the core work that we've been doing that I was able to really keep it contained. I fell down. It hurt so much right away. And I was surrounded by our friends. Like I had Carlos and Snara and Dina all around me in a little circle. They all attempted to help me up, but I was like, I'm so sorry. You can't help me up. I have to do this because there's just physically no other way that I can do this. I managed to get up myself, which again, felt kind of like an achievement. Then the lifeguard comes over because they've obviously had like a report that I have done this. I would like to be clear. I slipped on the no running sign on the cement of the pool.
Irony.
Bright yellow with a no running thing. When I stood back up, so this lifeguard comes over and I'm bleeding, not like tremendously, but I'm bleeding in various different places and I'm limping a little, and she's like, "Okay, well, come with me, and I'll check everything out and make sure you're okay." And we were walking, and my foot touched it again. I was like, "This is insanely slippery," and she told us, "Yeah, we know it's been that way for a couple of years. We slip on it all the time. It's a real problem."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my god, it is a real problem." Anyway, so I go and I get like cleaned up. And it all hurts, but like everything seems to be basically fine. Like I can't drive home because like I can't bend my leg that like it hurts so much to bend my leg. So Carlos has to drive home, and I go swimming again a few days later. I tape myself up with because I love to swim.
Just take a few days off. Let it scab over.
Yeah, no kidding.
Technically, it was scabbed over. I will give myself that grace that it was scabbed over, but I wrapped it up in waterproof Band-Aids and my knee, and I went to the pool, had a great time. About 2 days after that, and I know I told you this, AG, before, and I understand why you were like, this is outrageous. Anyway, 2 days after that, I was like, my foot doesn't feel right. Like something's not okay. And I wasn't sure if the scrapes on the top of my toe had gotten infected, because it was kind of purple and red. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I went to the doctor and they're like, yeah, you definitely either really badly sprained it or broke it. But we don't really do anything if you broke it. So we're not going to bother sending you for x-rays. So I got sent home with like a bunch of tape to tape my toes together, continue putting this like medicated cream on it that I had from my surgery, from like the staple removal. So like when we did our live episode, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I like raced to get to the stairs a bit faster because I needed time to get up the stairs because my knee wasn't working very well. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. This is quite the summer for you.
So then like another couple days after that, my knee was hurting really badly. And I was like, what is happening? Like, why is everything surfacing like so late? But it turned out the bruise was so deep that it didn't get past my kneecap until like day 9 or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of that.
It's so weird. I guess like, I don't know, knee is kind of weird. So anyway, I'm still sore, but it's no longer, it still hurts. It's still sore. I'm still being like careful with everything. I'm still like occasionally icing and elevating, et cetera, et cetera. But like, man, I'm so
Jeez.
bummed out that like I've still continued going to the pool and stuff, but I'm being more careful with like things and trying not to like overexert myself. But it's really like thrown a wrench in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, well,
I don't like
bet.
it.
And you broke a toe.
Yeah,
I mean,
most likely.
Yeah, you're injured. You're scraped up. You have bruises emerging 9 to 10 days after you got them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if there's any time to just take a week off of doing stuff, like swimming, going back to the scene of where you've slipped. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, now would be the time. Just take it.
I know, and I hear you. Like I do physically hear you, but like everything in me is like, I've only got 2.5 more weeks of outdoor swim time. I have to be out there. Like the compulsion is that it's so much better to be in the pool. The injury won't feel better at home. It feels, like it's always, it's going to hurt no matter where I am. So I might as well just go swim.
But do
And
you feel
the-
nervous about like possibly slipping again?
Oh, I am nervous about that. I will say. Yeah. Yeah.
But the chlorine is probably making your things heal faster, right? All those chemicals, I'm sure. In the cut, you're probably like that much further ahead.
That or your leg will need to be amputated by the end of summer.
One of the two.
I continue to use water Band-Aids, and my doctor did say I was allowed to keep going swimming. So don't worry about that. Although, I mean, she doesn't care necessarily. She was a fill-in doctor, so she's not.
Exactly.
She's not
gonna
super
be
invested
there
in my
when
health.
you're back with
Wow. Okay. wow,
flesh-eating
okay.
disease. Like, she's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
operating on that.
Yeah, I currently do not have flesh-eating disease. Fingers crossed, and I'm going to knock on wood, even though I'm on microphone. Knock, knock, knock. Okay.
Okay, so one broken toe, a broken foot. AG.
AG, what's coming for
What's
you?
coming?
You
Yeah.
are both awful people to even suggest that foot injuries come in threes.
We don't want it to happen.
We're just saying, look
but
out.
I will say 2 of my other friends have broken toes in the last week.
That's really strange.
Isn't that so strange?
How did they break these toes? Same kind of
One
thing?
stubbed a toe getting up to get her kid some food at 5 a.m. And the other stubbed her toe when she slipped. God, she slipped at like water park.
Oh.
Oh,
yeah.
so
All in the
similar.
last week.
Similar to
All
you.
in the last week. Yeah.
But I saw a little Instagram reel where a woman was just warning people on stairs, which is exactly what happened to me. And she said within the 2 weeks, there was 3 people she knew that had really injured themselves on stairs. So that also, just a little warning for everybody out there. Stairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Kill.
Watch
Well,
your
no, they
stairs.
also get you from floor to floor, but they also kill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, it's wild,
That's your
right?
PSA about stairs.
Stairs
Yeah.
kill. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
stairs
true,
kill.
though. You've got to watch out. Be careful. And obviously be careful on pool decks. But
I mean, we're not wishing it into existence for you, AG. We're just like more so warning you
be careful.
that if the 3 of us like are, sort of like seen by the universe as a team, Lisa and I have now each had a
Severe
lower body injury.
lower body injury.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
So if you decide to go figure skating, I want you to watch out. Lisa, yours was during a summer?
Yeah, it was.
Last summer. Yeah.
it was in August. No, it was 2020 now.
No.
Can you believe it? So it's
Oh
4
my God.
years
Okay,
ago.
4 years ago. Oh, okay.
In
you got 4
August,
years
though.
then, AG.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. August. So August, you got to watch out.
Yeah.
August, 4 years apart. God, if we have to call back this episode in 2028,
Oh my
What
goodness.
a thought.
How do
What's
I
a
live
thought?
now? I'm just like going to be so
Carefully.
fearful. of
Very, very
everything.
carefully.
it's real Final Destination, but like our version, which is like just
Yeah.
slight injuries.
We can, every time we get together, we can have a count, like for each week you've avoided doing this.
Oh no, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. That would be so a horrible way to live, just waiting.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
like,
no, don't
when
look,
you like you see like a sign at like a work site. It's like 14 days since injury or whatever.
Right, is it
we
like
don't
that?
want that for you.
No, we
like that's
don't.
not what we're looking
No.
for.
Like I have a 7 days since I had to watch 500 Days of Summer sign on my desk.
Do you now have like? But do you now have to replace that with one day since you watched Elizabethtown, because I gotta say, this is maybe the worst movie I've ever seen in the entirety of our whole podcast. Look, we got to do this. And I'm honestly excited to sort of heave my feelings and my bad feelings about this movie out of my mouth and into your guys' faces. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And if you are still with us in this journey that we have made you come on.
We're sorry.
We are sorry. But I hope that
sorry.
you have enjoyed some of the conversations, because even though I hated the movies, I've enjoyed our conversations about them. And I think this will be no exception. I have never, ever again, like just in the history of this podcast, made it 18 minutes into a film and then said, oh God, how much longer? Turned on the little thing to see how much longer was left. Realized there was another hour 48 or something. And thought, you know what? I wish I could break my other toes. Like this, truly.
Wow.
Truly.
And to think, in our outline, it was explained that there was another 18 minutes in this. I don't know where. I don't know how.
Roger Ebert, in his original review, reported that the cut shown to critics before the debut was 18 minutes longer. And it was cut before it hit theaters.
Well, not enough. That's one
I
thing.
got a glimpse of those minutes in the original trailer for the film, because the original trailer contains scenes that we don't have, including one where he is bodily removed by security, like from his employer's, office or whatever. And Jessica Biel's character is given a moment where Drew says to her something along the lines of like, do you love me? And she gives some sort of non-meaningful answer. And then the other scene is between him and Kirsten Dunst in a coffee shop, it looks like. And I don't know what for sure goes on in that coffee shop, but I believe those are the hints at the 18 minutes that we lost. And I'm so
we
fine.
Lost, quote unquote, lost. The world lost.
Oof.
God.
It's just, yeah.
So we should explain to everybody that we are doing this movie as part of our exploration of a character that has been termed as a manic pixie dream girl. And so far we've done the movies Garden State and 500 Days of Summer. And this is the third one. And it is kind of always referred to as the original manic pixie dream girl movie. But however, as we were discussing before we came on the air, Cameron Crowe, it's kind of his MO. If you look back at movies he's directed throughout his career, this isn't the first time we see this type of character in his movies.
No, this is not.
No.
And also, interestingly, I was thinking about Jerry Maguire, too, because that had, Kelly Preston.
Yep.
Splitting up with Jerry because he made a fool of himself. And this movie has Jessica Biel breaking up with the guy for making a fool of himself. So women really have two roles, it seems, in his mind.
Yeah, it's not a lot of imagination. It's also like, I mean, we know how, I don't want to get us sued, but like we know that there seems to be a specific way in which women are depicted in these films. But also if you listen to like the soundtrack of this movie and think about the music that Kirsten Dunst's character programs for Drew as he goes on his cross-country trip, none of these people have ever heard of a band with a woman in the lead singer position. There's one artist that is played that has a woman, And then there's one woman artist played over the closing credits. This movie has so much music in it that Ryan Adams has 3 songs, I believe, within the film.
There are a lot of music in this.
Ryan Adams gets 3 tracks, but he's only ever heard of one woman artist who could make it into this film. And this is someone who was married to one of the greatest women guitarists.
She did the music for the movie, though. She's credited for the music.
Well,
Nancy,
but is she credited in, like, she's picking the songs, or she's just like the person
the
who's
original
like doing
score was composed by Nancy Wilson.
Yeah, the original score is
I see.
like
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like and you know, Nancy Wilson, who's part of like one of the greatest women rock bands of all time, Heart. Like, I find it so frustrating. And
it's hard to choose a level of where to put that. There's absolutely zero to recommend this movie at all. Like, it doesn't, like, there's nothing. So the fact that we're just going to choose different ways this movie disappointed us, that's all we can say, because
I mean, it's
music's
in my top
just
10.
one of them.
It's in my top 10, but I've got a lot of other reasons. Anyway, should we do the background and the synopsis and then read the little excerpt from Nathan Rabin's piece where he coined the term Manic Pixie Dream Girl in response to reviewing this film?
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll do the background here. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Elizabethtown is a 2005 American romantic tragic comedy film written and directed by Cameron Crowe and distributed by Paramount Pictures. Elizabethtown stars Orlando Bloom, Kirsten Dunst, Alec Baldwin, and Susan Sarandon. The film was produced by Tom Cruise. Wow. And so Cruise Wagner Productions and Vinyl Films. It premiered at the 2005 Venice Film Festival and grossed $10.6 million in its opening weekend and $52 million worldwide against a budget of $45 million. It received generally negative reviews from critics on Rotten Tomatoes and mixed reviews on Metacritic.
There are so many famous actors in this movie.
Yep.
Orlando Bloom,
incredible.
Kirsten Dunst, Susan Sarandon, Alec Baldwin, Judy Greer, Jessica Biel, Loudon Wainwright III is in this movie.
Yeah. Paula Deen, as said before.
Paula
So weird.
Deen.
Yeah.
Yeah. AG, do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. Aspiring young shoe designer Drew Baylor gets fired from his high-profile job after the failure of his latest project. To make matters worse, his girlfriend Ellen leaves him and he becomes suicidal. Drew's morbid plans are interrupted by the news of his father's death, and he is called back to his Kentucky hometown. On his flight home, he meets the lovely Claire, a sunny flight attendant who tries to help him embrace life once again. Oof. And that is just from Google. And I searched and I searched and I searched for a better synopsis that was, like short, but it doesn't exist.
Because honestly, you kind of do have to like lay that out as a foundation.
Yeah.
Because
it's funny to
yeah.
see it even written is aspiring young shoe designer. I don't even know what to do with that.
Yeah, there's some baffling creative choices about character and character development that I do not understand.
Yeah, the script just seems just haphazardly thrown together with no thought or research to it. To start off with, the name of the shoe company is so lame. Mercury Worldwide Shoes.
And Spasmodica?
But all the major running shoe brands in the world are like one word, like Nike or Reebok or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the Spasmodica name for the shoes. Who would
insane.
buy a shoe called that? How would that even pass any kind of marketing department vetting for this billion-dollar company?
In this editing process, this 18 minutes that were taken out, was there, do you suppose at the beginning, some explanation as to why shoes are recalled? Why he's taking the fall for designing a shoe? Why did it cost so much money? How did this man
Have you
succeed
ever,
in business.
either of you, heard of shoes being recalled?
No, they're not cars. Like, you can't die from a shoe.
I've never heard of that.
And why is he responsible for this? Like, what?
He just designed it.
Yeah, he just
he's
designed it.
Made them all himself. What's wrong with it? And
what happened? What happened to the shoe?
They don't even tell us.
No, they don't. It doesn't make any sense at all.
But there's like dozens of people involved in research and development and production that must also have to share the blame with him for any colossal failure of the shoe.
I mean, it is difficult when a film like this just feels like it's on the wrong foot, pun intended, I guess, from the get-go. AG, you talk about like everything being a lie in this film. Everything is a lie.
I think the movie more or less starts off on this quote. As someone once said, there's a difference between a failure and a fiasco. And that is just setting this ominous tone for the movie.
Right?
Yeah. Because you're thinking, what's the difference between a failure and fiasco? And like, how does it apply for this movie? Is it a failure or is it a fiasco or is it both? Like, what are they saying it is? And also B, like no one ever said that. That isn't a quote from anybody.
No, but it's exactly the kind of hubristic sort of moment that a writer who has written this movie might try to like make it seem as if it's one of those old knowable cliches that everyone has heard forever and ever and ever. Like just writing in the God complex into the script is like, that's what this movie feels like. It feels like some kind of weird, personal, indulgent stroke fest that like never goes beyond this very specific vision in someone's head. Like it never gets clearly communicated. It never means more to anybody watching the film. It just stays as this like thing that has meaning to one person. And it's a $45 million budget that man got handed. And that makes me so mad.
Well, I mean, other like movie critics have suggested that he more or less kind of just riffed on the successes of his past movies and kind of just applied them to this script. You can, if you think about it, you see shades of Almost Famous, Jerry Maguire.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. But also, okay, now I know this is just going to be almost a list of all of the things that just did not work and were so terrible. But Orlando Bloom, I don't even know where to start. I've never
totally miscast. Totally
miscast. I've never seen such bad acting in my honestly, I can't. And you know what? I would cut him slack if I could, being Legolas and all from Lord of the Rings, but I can't. It was just as if this was his first movie, and it was so terrible.
Allegedly, Ashton Kutcher was hired and then fired.
Oh,
and
well,
they
dodged a bullet
Heath
there,
Ledger,
hey? Jeepers! Wow,
he really did.
Yeah,
they wanted Heath Ledger, but he was doing Brokeback Mountain or something.
Oh,
and so this is how it transpired. But like, you can hear how hard he's working to have an American accent, and it's like
it slips.
It's so distracting.
It slips sometimes too.
Oh yeah. It's more distracting than Kirsten Dunst's fake Southern accent.
Yeah.
This is.
I'm trying. I hope we're getting across to everyone listening to this that this is a truly terrible movie. Like there's nothing. Like it's just I can't. It's almost hard to have discussion about it because everything about it is so stupid too. It's not just that the film's bad, is that the story makes no sense. None of it makes sense. None of the words that anyone says make any sense. They don't. Nothing.
You know, I remember that I know that I did see this before, like when it first came out. I believe I saw it in theaters.
Me too.
That's the only memory I have of it. I knew that I didn't like it and it was super long but I had forgotten everything else. Blank slate in here. Could not have told you a single thing that happened. I didn't even remember that it's a dead dad movie. And I am a sucker for a dead dad movie. as one of the people in this dead dad club that, you and Lisa and I, we belong to this club.
Yeah.
I have never cared less about a dead dad than this film, because honestly, the movie keeps telling us that he was this center in all of these lives, and they were fractured because he left his small southern town to go live in the Pacific Northwest ultimately. And, his wife wasn't popular, and that it just meant that like he didn't go home as much, and blah, blah, blah. And like, I kind of enjoy the time we have with his southern family. I think if we'd spent more time there, that could have been a little bit better. If Orlando Bloom hadn't been so terrible about how he interacted with them, it could have been more meaningful as well. But like, man alive, like
there's about 4 dozen subplots that go nowhere as well. Like his cousin and this child, like where's this mother? No one says anything. And he's in a band. And I'll say the only thing I remembered from this film was Freebird and that bird catching fire, which also now I'm trying to figure out what? Like, and the sprink. Anyway, I agree. Like the dad stuff, it also sounded like he never even went to see his why wasn't he there at Christmas or whatever. Like he didn't even sound like he had any connection to his father at all. It didn't seem like he ever visited the family ever.
He was working on the shoe that kept him home from Christmas. Truly, that's what we're meant to believe, is that this shoe had represented his failings as a designer, as a man, as a son, as a brother. Like this shoe, this spasmodica, which again,
worst made up name.
Worst name I've ever heard in my entire life. Like it's supposed to be walking on a cloud, and they called it spasmodica. Like
to be fair, it actually looks like that failed SUV that Tesla has out right now. I was thinking, they actually look like a lot like that.
I mean, Cameron Crowe in an interview said he considered this to be like a personal movie to him because his late dad was from Kentucky. And he said, I always thought I'd write about my dad at some point. I didn't think it would be like this, but it arrived like this. I'd been listening to a lot of Garrison Keillor at the time. I love that simple story that ends in a grace note and you go, wow, I'm just happy to be alive right now. That was the feeling I was chasing.
That movie made me think, no, the dad's lucky.
I don't think that anyone leaving the theater or watching it now felt like lucky to be alive. I think, I remember being extremely disappointed by the movie. I do remember that feeling, but I don't remember the outrage I feel right now, which is, I don't know what's happened to me. I've seen more movies. I don't know what happened, but I just, like I said, I don't remember feeling quite so angry. Like, this is insane.
Gabe Delhay in Stereo Gum he's been tracking the lies in this movie for a long time, written several articles about it. I'll link to it in the show notes. Like he talks about how like there are kind of touching references of memories he has of his dad, like driving in the car and whatnot. But like if Cameron Crowe wants to write a movie about his late dad, why not write a movie about his late dad? Why write this movie and have just touches of memories of his father?
Wow. You know what you just said? That makes so much sense. It's actually about him. So there you go, Dad. I made a movie about myself. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, if this is the movie that you make about your dad, but it's actually just about you, and wishing you had some beautiful woman to help you process your grief, like, I know we said this in the last like couple movies, but like, get a therapist. You don't get a girlfriend. Get a therapist. Like, oh my God, please, for the love of all that is holy, do not rely on a woman to fix you.
Yeah,
Please.
I mean, but
the character of Claire is there to fix him.
I know. It's so frustrating. It's so, you know what? This is the good time to read the excerpt from Nathan Raven's original review. This is from Nathan Rabin. It's still on the AV Club. And I'm picking up in the very like middle. We haven't even talked about Susan Sarandon's character, and I could talk about that for like 17 hours, but we're just gonna jump into where, okay, quote. Then again, Sarandon's character is the very embodiment of gritty neorealism compared to Kirsten Dunst, stewardess / love interest. Dunst embodies a character type I like to call the manic pixie dream girl. See Natalie Portman in Garden State for another prime example. The manic pixie dream girl exists solely in the fevered imaginations of sensitive writer-directors to teach broodingly soulful young men to embrace life and its infinite mysteries and adventures. The manic pixie dream girl is an all-or-nothing proposition. Audiences either want to marry her instantly, despite the manic pixie dream girl being, a fictional character, or they want to commit grievous bodily harm against them and their immediate family. As for me, well, let's just say I'm not going to propose to Dunst's psychotically chipper waitress in the sky anytime soon. So, Nathan Rabin has since apologized for coining this term. I think the term is valid. I think the thing that he's maybe more so apologizing for in that moment is putting the blame on Dunst's character. Because Dunst's character is not the problem in this movie. Drew is a sack of nothing.
Poof.
And is...
she
has to be insanely chipper. Like, it's not great, but, like, at least she has, like, a point of view.
Yeah, it just that... And also there's that weird part about the manic pixie dream girl, too. They're also presented as a default. Like, these guys... have their strong, beautiful, important girlfriends break up with them. But the manic pixie dream girl is just waiting there. As she says, we are the side characters or the secondary characters or the whatever.
Substitutes or something.
Substitutes, yeah. And I mean, I think we were supposed to read that as, oh, don't be so self-deprecating. It's literally who she is in this movie. Like 100%. He had just broken up with that woman, Ellen, and he phoned her. That is the truth of this story, right? And then they talk for what presumably looks like 5 hours. I don't think a battery on a flip phone would ever last that long.
I had the battery question as well. Carlos pointed out that they specifically showed him charging his phone at one point while he was on it.
Oh, okay.
Trust me, I raised that as well.
Yes, yeah. And then showing up, and and then all of this apparently is over 2 days, right? As well.
Okay, so that's my biggest complaint with this movie. What is time in this world? Because this man dies, his son flies to Kentucky, and right away, and then they're having like a wake and then a burial. And apparently in the time between the man dying and that wake, which is maybe 2 to 4 days, because it's a 3-day wedding that's happening as well at the same time.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we have a sense that this is like 4 days. Susan Sarandon's character has taken classes about fixing cars, cooking, and stand-up comedy.
And tap dancing.
Dance.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And she does all of it at the funeral, like the memorial. That, I know that's why she took the part, because she got to like really just have this like showcase of whatever. But it is, I swear to God, you guys, I could not believe it just kept going.
You know what's even more unbelievable is that Claire recommends that he goes on this road trip and prepares a book.
Beautifully ornate book
with like
such
CDs.
That would have taken her
maps,
like a month.
Maps. You would have had to order those maps.
Put that together
at least.
Like,
okay, so
she's not putting it together overnight.
I guess what we're understanding actually is that the women exist in a different timeline, and they can bend time to their reality. So Claire and Susan Sarandon both actually, it's been like 13 weeks for them. But for Drew, it's only been 4 days. And I guess that's where we should actually really sort of like just applaud the subtleness of Cameron Crowe, that he really does understand the limitations of sad sack men, but he just thinks that women have infinite capacity to serve men.
They can talk all night on the phone and then prepare you a 100-page travel plan and mark out everywhere you're going to go, how long it's going to take, which route you should take, time it to music, take pictures of themselves, develop them, and paste it all together in a scrapbook for you in a span of a couple of nights.
And those moments that were that...
Because she doesn't work.
No.
She's supposed to fly to Hawaii. Like...
The moment where he's supposed, like, there's supposed to be some sort of moment when he goes to the place where Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated, and we're made to listen to U2. Like, my brain left my body.
Who is going around anyway, like, just throwing their loved one or, like, their relatives' ashes into the air in random places?
And why would he be given these ashes? His mother flew all the way out there, and they just give him that, like, he wasn't even putting them in any place that was significant to his father.
No. He threw them into the air in the parking lot of a museum.
Honestly, though, like the MLK Museum was the moment that I truly lost my mind. Mm-hmm. You're going to take this place and have it be part of this nothing white guy's journey of healing to a U2 song?
Yeah.
I truly...
Okay, this is totally aside from the movie, but I'm going to say I've been to Louisville. I've stayed in that hotel that they shot the movie in, the Brown Hotel.
Wow, okay.
It's a beautiful, gorgeous, historical hotel that they made look terrible in this movie. They did no justice to it whatsoever, first of all. I've also been on part of that road trip to go to Memphis, at least, and eaten in the diners and gone to the MLK. Or it's actually the museum of, it's the National Civil Rights Museum, which includes the Lorraine Hotel where Martin Luther King was assassinated. And you stand in the hotel and you can see they've kept the building across the street too, where the shooter was sitting, and you can have this experience of seeing what Martin Luther King, like what he last saw before he was shot. And they've kept the room exactly as it was. And it's just like tremendously moving experience to go to this museum, and there's people around you like weeping, and it's like, I don't know how you could take that experience and think this is an appropriate place for me to toss my dad's ashes in the parking lot, who has nothing to do with this story whatsoever.
No.
Honestly, it was so egregious. I was like, if the movie hadn't already lost me 1,300 times before, like that, I think is the most egregious moment of this movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was shocking. Like, and I'd already become severely jaded and disappointed by them, but that's when I started feeling anger at the movie, and just so hollow. It was such a hollow gesture. It didn't mean anything. Because the next scene, he's like, I don't know, seeing the biggest pine cone or something. Like, it didn't, there was no, it was just thrown in as you're just on a tour. Why don't you take in where all the major civil rights leaders were assassinated? Yeah, that sounds fun. Like that's what it felt like.
Yeah, it's in such poor taste.
Yeah.
And especially when it culminates in the second biggest farmers market. I mean,
how does that logistically even work?
That she gets there with her red hat? Like, it doesn't...
At the same time he gets there?
Yeah. Like, did she...
Oh my God. And you guys, when he has the literal moment of being instructed to dance like no one's watching.
Oh.
I laughed with not joy, but just like, wow. One time Cameron Crowe read a card like on a wall, maybe in a like university bookstore, and was like, yeah, dance like no one's watching. Yeah. I'm actually really mad at Cameron Crowe.
Well, I think what we're circling around and sort of getting to through the series is that maybe he is ground zero for this iteration of the Hollywood Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Because I know it's not, like Alfred Hitchcock had his version of having the blondes in all of his movies.
Yeah.
And so it's, it's a Hollywood thing with male directors where they have their ideal leading ladies. But for like this type of manic pixie dream girl character that existed in the early 2000s, like he is directly responsible.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, I didn't put it all together, but that she was also in Almost Famous, that she was also in Jerry Maguire, that she was also in Singles with Bridget Fonda.
Say Anything.
And
if
Say
you want
Anything.
To go back
oh
to,
my gosh. Say
movie.
Anything. Yes.
I've never seen Say Anything.
Don't.
No, you don't need to.
It's about John Cusack singing at a girl.
Yeah, I mean, I know the pop culture references and I've seen some of the things, but like, yeah, I just was like,
who just wants to get on with her life.
Yeah, an extraordinary woman with an absolute nothing fella at all. Like it is that. I mean, and they don't even try and hide that.
No, and his whole thing is like he's entitled to date her because he wants to.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like we've definitely done that before, and not even with other Cameron Crowe films, but like, I think about Almost Famous. Like I know we did that a long time ago and we've talked about it on the podcast, and there's still part of me that likes elements of that film. And I do think Kate Hudson is like extremely winning as Penny Lane, and so that sort of makes up for a lot of stuff. But she has, at least I guess, Penny Lane, like, yes, she's there as the early prototype of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but she also has like a little bit of at least faux agency. Like do you know anything about Claire other than she like has made up this academic boyfriend, has called in sick for her job so that she can hang out with this man at this hotel, is apparently like the sole flight attendant on a giant plane that has a first class section that only one person flew. Like,
how does that make sense?
How does it make sense?
They would just cancel the flight.
Yeah.
Of course they would.
Carlos was telling me that there's a theory that Claire is a literal angel and is not real and is just a manifestation of Drew's dreams to like make it so that he doesn't end up taking his own life.
You know what? I can believe that. That makes sense.
That's not. I mean, that makes more sense than that she's a real person for sure.
Honestly, it absolutely makes more sense than she's real. Yeah.
But I mean, with this movie, it's not just like the big themes and the story and the characters that are unbelievable, and like it's also the little things that like you don't get at all. Like we don't understand the shoot thing. It's never explained. I don't even understand how he's attempting suicide, actually, when he...
With that, yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't understand what he's trying to do.
I mean, I think he's going to stab himself multiple times by being on his bike. Like, that's such a weird Vancouver health nut way to try and, like... But also, like, there's the joke they make of, like, suicide being, like, isn't it funny? Like, I know 2005 was a different time or whatever, but like, I don't know, man. That was not the most.
And then just putting his stuff out there, and
film.
They had to have that scene where homeless people were really excited. Like, whoa.
Yeah. No,
gross. Like, I didn't even understand what that was supposed to be. He made their day. Like, I was so confused, even by that scene. Like, it just didn't.
Yeah.
And can we just like, sorry to go back to Susan Sarandon again, but like, there's been this like fallout with the family, which is why she doesn't go and why she sends Drew in her absence. But then she decides she's going to come anyways. It's like been 2 days, and for whatever reason, she's going to come there anyways and like, deal with it. And like,
but why would they send him? There was no issue, nothing. And then she makes a joke about a man's erection, and then it brings down the house because they're a salty folk, like it was
just such a big pile of nothing. But that's what this movie is. It's a big pile of nothing. So I don't know why I'm looking for more, but I could not believe how long her scene went on at that funeral. I truly like, and we're watching Drew react to his mom's speech. We're watching his sister react. And Judy Greer, what a wonderful person who's given so little to do in this film. She still knocks it out of the park. But like when she has to try and like find Susan Sarandon funny, that is tough stuff. Like we know Susan Sarandon can do comedy, but that comedy routine.
Orlando Bloom should have been taking some acting lessons. That was acting.
But in what universe does a casting director put together Susan Sarandon, Judy Greer, and Orlando Bloom as like a family that, like a blood relation family? That doesn't make sense in any way.
Yeah, no, even age-wise, it didn't make any sense. Like there's no, like none. Yeah, there are so many things. I mean, again, just sitting there like, I mean, I still am trying to figure out this cousin of his with the son. And his
but actually, you know what? The only good moment in the whole movie is that dumb video where like this is how you get a screaming child to stop, and then it's this video where this guy just blows up. Like honestly, the video was the only enjoyable moment for me. I was like, you know what? That video, that looks fun. I like it. It would never work on a room full of screening children, but like
also,
it was
who
funny.
are all these children? Like it didn't make any sense. Like I didn't. And then okay, so and also things that I don't understand. Maybe this was the editing problem, but so the dinner ends, and he's carrying his box of stuff down the street with the guy who's got to carry his kid. Why didn't he just drive him? Like I don't even things like that. Did that make sense? Like
no, but also the scene where the morning after Kirsten Dunst is leaving the room and she spends what seems like an eternity trying to wake him up by dropping her bag and making loud noises, but never like actually attempts to wake him up like any normal person would do by like shaking him or anything.
Did she want to go or not want to go? Like why was she even going? Like what why?
I don't know.
And then why was there an Audrey Hepburn movie on? What was that about?
Well, Carlos thought that was the director's attempt to show other early prototypes of that type of fanciful, fun woman who like rescues a guy. I don't know if that's correct or not, but he thought that was like, it was trying to like show, look, there's this history of this and these really great movies. This is part of this great movie tradition.
Well, I mean, that's as good as... I just didn't understand why the TV was even on. Like, it didn't make any sense. And then can I just also bring up, like, what was with Kirsten Dunst's car, this Toyota Camry? Like, she's supposed to be this wild, eccentric girl, and she's literally driving around in a realtor's car. Like, it was...
I truly don't think that this is a movie that wanted to think about her in any way beyond what she could do for Drew.
And why? Why? She meets him on an airplane. He's rude to her.
Yeah.
Horribly rude. Like, just so cruel almost.
Why did she, like, drop everything in her life for this person she met while working?
Yeah. Just because, like, I think she does, Kirsten Dunst does a good job of, like, understanding like when he won't tell her that his dad is dead. And I think she does like a good job in that moment of like, just, hearing that, like when he says, yeah, he's okay. And she just like looks at him. And I think she's just in like a whole other movie sometimes, where like she's trying to make this make sense and really make it work. And the script is fighting her at every turn where she wants to give something that's a little bit more meaningful.
It is that, I mean, we talk a lot about that male gaze and all that, and often it has, mostly to do with how a woman looks, right? Mm-hmm. But now you're with this Manic, we're getting this opportunity to see what, it's like watching There's Something About Mary, and that,
yes,
the way they created Cameron Diaz's character, although they knew they were joking, what they were joking around about with that one. But it's that same idea that what they see are these women with all these incredible talents. They're so beautiful. And even if you're a schmuck, if you're just like the worst human, if you suck and you're terrible, they will still find you and fix you and fall in love with you.
Yeah. It's I gotta say, it's been a real journey, these few films.
Yeah. And I mean, we're now at the part of the podcast where we talk about if we think it pops. Okay, wait. You two did not think it popped the first time you saw it.
No.
And you think it pops even less now, is what I'm hearing.
I don't even think we should ask this question. I think it doesn't deserve the question.
Do we think this is the worst movie we've ever talked about on the podcast?
Yes, I do.
I do. Yes. Yes. For many reasons. I think also just because we were expecting more. The weird, gross sort of ideas presented in this film upset me, as well as it just being bad too.
Yeah, and I think the psychic burden kind of it being ground zero for this Manic Pixie Dream Girl character also weighs heavily and kind of retroactively ruins Cameron Crowe movies.
Yep, absolutely does. Yep. Agreed. Yeah.
I feel sad now.
However, this is when we talk about things we like, so we can redeem the episode with something joyous for people to take in as a palate cleanser.
That is a good point. You know what? Yeah, we love to leave things on a hopeful note. So let's try it. Let's see if we can bring ourselves up a tiny bit. Lisa, would you like to go first?
I have to start with a bit of a sorry. I remember my friend Margaret Gallagher suggesting this show to me, and I was like, it's called One Day. It was on Netflix. I had read the book. I had seen the movie with Anne Hathaway. And when she said the series, I'm like, oh, what could that be? Anyway, I watched it. I was so moved. I cried so hard. It ruined my weekend. I binged it. Does anyone know One Day?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And?
I haven't watched it.
It is very moving. It took me a while to get into it.
Yes, it did. And then
but once
I
you
did,
do, it sucks you in.
Oh, so Leo Woodall, who you might know from White Lotus, and Ambika Maud. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, and I don't think I'd seen her in anything else before. So they play a couple.
Well, hold on.
Oh.
She was in this excellent series called This Is Going to Hurt. She plays a doctor in it, and she's fantastic. And that's I recommended that a long time ago.
Yes, you did.
But,
yeah. I missed that one. So they play a couple. Well, they're friends. They meet on their last day of university in Edinburgh, and then we see them over the years, always on that same day. So it's always July 15th, 1988, 1989, 1990. And so there's, I think, 14 half-hour episodes of the show. And, by the end, I was just a wreck. But anyway, highly recommended. I apologize to Margaret. And just a fantastic, fantastic show. So, and I mean, it is not the happiest of shows. So just pointing that out as well.
Perfect. I love easing into fall with something depressing.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
AG, what about you?
Well, I am going to lift the mood by suggesting some music. There's an artist named Looney who is her sound is kind of a combination of R&B, jazz, neo soul. She has this silky smooth voice. She's from Scarborough. She just put out her self-titled debut. She's put out an EP before that made it to the Polaris long list. But if you just want something kind of low-key, easy to listen to, someone with the smoothest voice you've ever heard, check out this album. It's really good. There's a song that I really like called First Thing Smokin' from the album. So maybe start with that song if you want to. But it's just she's an exciting emerging artist, and I highly recommend it.
Yay, Looney. I am going to recommend a movie that I watched called Robot Dreams. It's a 2023 animated tragicomedy film written and directed by Pablo Berger. It's a Spanish-French co-production based on the 2007 comic of the same name by Sarah Varon. And the film follows an unusual friendship between a dog and a robot in New York City in 1984. It does not contain any dialogue. It is one of the most incredible movies I've ever seen. I laughed so hard. I wept so hard multiple times. I came home to tell my grandma about the movie, started crying again. It has the most brilliant use of the song September that I've ever heard. And they use it
in the Gang
in multiple
song?
The Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh, Earth, Wind and Fire. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love
They
that song.
use it in me too.
Yeah.
They use it in multiple iterations in so many different ways. In they mix it up a little bit sometimes. Anyway, oh my God, you guys, this movie is so good. And I hear that the the graphic novel by Sarah Varon is incredible as well. It was highly recommended by a friend of the podcast, Nara Geisler. We went and saw it a few weeks ago at the Rio, and I just...
So can you only see it in theaters?
It should be, I think, out on streaming soon-ish, because it debuted at like the film festival last year in Vancouver, or I don't know if it was debut, but it was at the film festival in Vancouver last year. It was at the Rio and at different theaters in Vancouver a couple months ago. So I think it's like slowly making its way out. I don't believe it's streaming in Canada anywhere right now, but I have to expect it will be soon because it's so good.
Oh, I really want to see that now.
I love it so much. I love
well,
it so much.
I don't.
And
I
Lisa,
don't like.
you and I are suckers for anything with dogs.
I know, but this is going to end tragically, and I can't like.
Oh, no, the dog doesn't get hurt. The dog is in the power position.
Does he die?
No.
The dog doesn't die?
No.
Okay, that's a funny voice you're using there. Why are you
Well, I don't want to spoil it for like everybody else who might want to watch this film, but no, the dog is the one in the position of power.
Okay. Well, we'll
Please.
see. I'll
Please,
try.
please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a
If I
commitment to
ever see
watching
that
the
it's
trailer.
programmed at the theater again, I'll let you guys know because
Okay.
I truly. Oh, the trailer's great, but like the trailer doesn't even fully get at like how amazing this is.
Lisa, you just recommended like this super depressing TV series.
Yeah,
in which
I know.
Human beings.
Yeah, but what did I say? It ruined me.
Don't make it.
Absolutely ruined me for the whole weekend.
I mean, but I'm still filled with like so much gratitude that I've seen it and I love it so much and I would absolutely watch it 100 more times. Plus, the fact that it's set in 1984 New York, it's so great. Like, it's so great. It's really fun to see 1984 New York in this like animated fashion.
I'll trust you, but I'm nervous. I'm just saying that. So
I understand. I understand. I get it. Well, everyone, trust us on this. Skip Elizabethtown and then check out everything else we've recommended. Thank you, everyone, for listening. You are wonderful, and we really appreciate you. We have one more film in our series and Manic Pixie Dream Girl series, and it's a bit of a left curve. Not everyone would include this picture in that, but I did see it listed, and so I thought, you know what? This might let us end on a high note.
And it's its
Possibly.
20th anniversary this year.
And it's its 20th anniversary. I can't wait to talk about it next week with you guys. Thank you, everyone,
well, we should
for
tell
listening.
them.
Oh, okay, fine.
yeah.
Watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I know I loved it when I saw it originally, but that was 20 years ago.
yeah, exactly.
Will it hold up?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, guys. Holding out hope.
Yeah.
Really am.
Well, it can't
So
be any worse than Elizabethtown. We know that. So there we go. It's already a notch better than everything else.
That's true. We do have our new base floor.
Yep, we do.
Or whatever, like bottom floor of like,
Oof.
it can't be any worse than X.
I only
Who
feel bad
knew?
that I had to rent it, but whatever. Okay. Yeah.
I can't believe I gave $5 to the
Yeah.
universe for this.
I know.
Yeah, no, it's really ridiculous.
Ooh-wee. All right.
Anyway,
Somewhere Cameron Crowe is going to look at his like royalties checks and be like, wow, 3 people in Vancouver rented this in August. Why?
Why? I'm just, yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Indeed,
no, he's not the
why?
kind of guy who ever asks why.
Yeah, no.
He's like, how come there haven't been 10 people in Vancouver watching it this week?
I agree. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So thank you, everyone. You can rate and review us if you like. 5 stars, please.
Yes, please. And thank you, Andrea Gin, our producer and co-host. And thanks to all of you for, don't watch the movie. I can't express this enough. Do not watch this movie. Oh,
Okay.
Okay,
Bye,
bye.
everybody.